Hey, Rage fans, it's Kimber Schaefer with Rage in the Cage OKC News, and it is about that time. Rage in the Cage 68 is coming your way Saturday, September 28th at the Sugar Creek Casino, and I've got Joey Mangham here. I'm so excited. I just got to talk to you just for a few moments here before your interview, and you're fighting Dan Weber. He's 1-0. This is going to be your debut fight, and you just took this fight after an injury. So as we're doing this interview, I think we're about 3 weeks out to fight night. So appreciate you taking this fight.
No problem. I'm happy to take it, honestly, and I appreciate Summer and Mike for getting all of it set up and allowing me to compete on the card and stuff like that. I really appreciate it.
So this is, the first time that I'm meeting you, and so tell me a little bit about yourself and what brought you into the world of MMA.
Well, I've wrestled almost like my entire life through middle school, a little bit of high school and stuff like that, and I got into mixed martial arts. I started watching it about 3 years ago, and I really liked the technical aspect that goes into it in terms of jiu-jitsu and wrestling and Muay Thai and how all these different arts got brought together to create mixed martial arts. And it's just, I feel like it's an essential for me to put myself in there and compete because I really enjoy to compete. I really love to compete, and when I couldn't do that after high school, I found another avenue that I feel like I could excel in, and maybe not just go through college and that be it, you know what I'm saying? So I just appreciate the opportunity, and I'm glad to be here and fight, basically.
Sounds good. So how did you hear about Rage in the Cage? I mean, what made you, have you been to an event before, or you just started searching on the internet, or?
That's exactly, actually never seen an event before. I've heard of it before, but I just started looking at some promotions that were in Oklahoma, and I found Rage in the Cage. I started looking at some of their fights, and I honestly liked the way the promotion had it going, what venues they take up, and so I called the owner. I found his number online, and I called him, and I told him that I'm ready to fight, and that I'd hop on anything that he needed me to hop on. I felt like the competition there is good, but I feel like I could dominate anyone that I get in there with. So I told him that. He got me in touch with Summer, the matchmaker, and basically the stars aligned, and I got my fight. So that's essentially how it went down.
Sounds good. And I mean, I'm so glad that happened, and I love seeing debut fighters, and some of our pros that have gone on to the big stage, they started where you were. So it's not as long of a road ahead as you might think it is. So tell me a little bit about your accomplishments in wrestling so far.
Well, I didn't have any state titles or national titles or anything like that, but just being able to assess and look at everything in terms of technique and breakdown, I felt like I was just lacking that in middle school. I had middle school and high school, and I had just too many distractions, I felt. And now that I've cleared all those things up, I've gotten back into a training regimen over the last 2 years. I just feel like it was a long process to think about wanting to fight someone, getting in a cage with someone. And I've had people like my family members just, I don't know if this is the best idea, and I totally understand, you know what I'm saying, but it's an honor for me to be here, and I feel like I'm ready. So in terms of credentials, I maybe don't stack up in that department, but I do stack up in the heart department. I'll give everything I have, and y'all are going to see technical prowess on September 28th.
Wow, sounds good. I'm so excited about that. Before we go, though, I want to talk on something really important, because as you and I were just talking, one of the reasons you got in MMA is a reason that not a lot of people would think of is, you want to be able to share your faith, and this is kind of a ministry for you. And I was explaining to you that when I got in Rage in the Cage, that was my goal, is to begin a ministry, because I had met some fighters that were hurting, and I ministered to them. And we used to have a pastor on staff at Rage in the Cage, and he's ministered to some of our fighters, and some of them have become Christians through that. So tell me a little bit about what you look forward to in this avenue with your faith and being able to share that.
Well, that's essentially it. I think it's great that I can use this as a platform to show that Christianity and that my faith and everything like that can be used as a positive, that there's different routes to do things, and if you feel like you may be lost or stuff or something like that there's always someone there to talk to. There's always someone there to be able to just help you with something. You just got to look, you know what I'm saying? And it really helped me. I know I'm getting kind of emotional, but it just really helped me, so I felt like I can use it as a platform to help someone else. Shout out Brandon, because he's the one who turned me into a Christian, so shout out Brandon Isham, and that's essentially it. I just want to use it as a platform to make sure people aren't lost in the dark, and that there's always something that you can do to better yourself or maybe help. That's basically it.
So this has been recently, though. You did go to church some when you were younger, but your friend Brandon Isham introduced you to, kind of like a different level just recently. And for those of you that aren't a Christian, may not understand, when you really feel that closeness and that bond with your father, I mean, it's emotional. And sometimes when you're able to share that faith with other people, it can be emotional. So I know that a lot of times at the end of church, I'm in tears. So
it's just all grace. So I just feel like I can use it to just help better people's lives. So that's the main goal. I mean, I want to be the best fighter I can be. I want to give you guys a great show. But at the end of the day, I want to let people know that God is out there and He's here to help.
Sounds good. Well, I will end with that. Any last shout outs or anything before we run off?
No, just my sparring partners, Derek and Legend, and my friend Dylan for bringing me up here. That's basically it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. You guys join us Saturday, September 28th at the Sugar Creek Casino. It's going down at, I think the fights are beginning at 8 p.m. that night. You can get tickets from this fighter right here, any other fighter on the card, or of course, dubwire.com, and we'll see you then.